Hi everyone, my name is Kendrick and welcome to ENFP Mail. Today I get to interview Pedro. So Pedro, welcome man.
Wonderful to be here. Thank you, Kendrick.
For sure, dude. So can you give us what your full type is?
My full type, oh God. So I'm an ISTP according to the Church of Dave and Shan. Let me see the full. I have to look it up because yes, that's the way I work. The full type is MFTISE, consume, play, blast, sleep. So I am one of the most, or I am the most extroverted of the ISTPs, according to the system.
So what I like about what you just did is it's very info dominant. So let's start with that. Like you didn't want to like pull it out of your head. You want to make sure that the information was like precise as possible. So and that's because you have consume and blast in your first three animals. So talk about the obsession with having the most accurate information and making sure that no stone is left unturned. Like everything has been checked and
Oh
thoroughly
my goodness,
examined.
it's a blessing and a curse.
Right.
It truly is. So I work on the technical side of the television industry, where I'm in charge of, or I work on many different devices that are dependent on other devices. It's this one big conglomerate of automation, and I have to know at all, as much as possible, every single part and how it interrelates to all the other parts. I'm a computer geek, is what it is. I get nervous if I don't know one of the pieces in the string of systems. It brings me anxiety. If I can't see it in my head, then I'm not doing my job and I don't belong on this planet. So how's that a blessing? Because a lot of people depend on me and I'm able to facilitate a great deal and dispense a great deal of, I'll fix it for you, here you go. And it brings a lot of people around me peace, that I take on this responsibility. The burden is sometimes I meet people that they just want to know, give me the quick and dirty of it. And I'm like, well, but wait, I have to tell you all the little things. And I could just see them like dying. And I'm like, I don't know how to speak to you otherwise. And I can see it happening before me because I have some level of consciousness. But I accepted that I'm that guy. And that's the way this relationship is going to work. I'm going to bore you with details, but you keep me around because you don't want to deal with the details.
I like how you like rub your eyes like this when you were describing the type of people that is like wants it quick and dirty, doesn't care to hear the whole spectrum.
Yeah.
I start thinking about Dave and other sleep blast play people who doesn't want to know, he doesn't want to consume that stuff.
Right.
And the
Right.
sleep savior, they always rub their eyes, right? So so that's why when you did that, I'm like, oh, it's a Dave type that you are that doesn't want to hear your SE. They're like, I don't care about the steps. Just fucking do it.
Just
Like,
tell me what it is
yeah.
already. I had a phone call with him after I got typed, and I could almost hear him rubbing his eyes at times. I'm like, Pedro, you're doing it. This is the Dave. Just get to the point so
Yeah.
he can be happy. And for the life of me, I couldn't. And just like they say, the harder you try to be something that you're not, the more awkward you come out
Right.
or come off. So I have to be me. I have to respect who I am within a certain healthy level of boundaries. And that's why I'm like, I am who I am. And if, it is what it is.
I think if you use your FE though, it would be okay. Like if you like, for example, you're talking to Dave and he's already rubbing his eyes and he's like dying inside. Like I think if you said, I know, like, okay, just a heads up, I know you're gonna start rubbing your eyes. I know you're gonna start like, feeling that this is so tedious that I'm explaining all this stuff. But please just hear me out. This is important. Just I
Yeah.
think it like mitigates the annoyance of like hearing the whole SE
Sure.
for the N dominant people.
You prepare them for it, sure, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. If you prepare them for it, it's like a little bit better. They're like, okay, fine, let's hear it. It's um so since we're on that topic already, you have double activated FE. So what's your experience been like with that, double activated feminine extrovert feeling? It's at the bottom, but it's double activated, so you are going to be using it.
Yes. So admittingly, just what you just said, I'm going to tell you that I have a tendency to ramble, and it's an SE ramble, and I think Dave and Shan call it shit mess. It's a shit mess of a conversation. I'm admitting it and owning it right now. So I'm going to try to be as concise as possible.
Okay.
All my life, since I was a little boy, people have told me that there's always this like aura about me. There's this feeling I'm such a peaceful person that if I'm in the room, they feel calm. And I'm like, I'm looking for the potato chips. What are you talking about? Just take me to the food. We love having you. And it's like it's been this thing that's followed me all through my life, even into adulthood. Um, and I attribute that to the fact that I think that I am in tune with the feeling of a room or the feeling of whatever the tribe is at that moment. I try not to be a nuisance or disruptive force in whatever's going on, and I do my best to contribute to whatever I see is happening if it's within my abilities. Um, it's very easy for me to take care of people because I think Dave told me in my typing audio that I'm a glass lizard, which means that I have a lot of EJ tendencies. So I actually am tribe above self when it comes to the greater good and the vibe. I always try to take care of people, but I'm very hard on myself. Um, and I've already lost my place in this conversation, as it will happen several times. I'm an IP in the sense that I only take care of the people that I've let into my identity. And then with them, I'm a complete and total EJ kind of thing. But I'm not that with just anybody.
Right.
So how's it double activated? It gets me in and out of a lot of social situations in a good way. People like me. They like my vibe, though I don't feel comfortable all the time, and I end up sometimes overexerting myself for them. But I don't seem to have the struggle that the stereotypical MBTI ISTPs have. I don't say things the way they are and not care how people feel about them. On the contrary, I stay quiet because I care about how people feel.
So with that double activated FE at the bottom, when you care, so there's two categories of people. Obviously, there's the people that is inside you, like the people that family, friends,
Mhm.
and there are people who are outside of that. Um, so would you say you use that double activated FE at the bottom? Would you say it's genuine or is it fake, or is it dependent on the situation?
I don't I don't know how to be fake for very long at all. If I do, it immensely wears on. It's hard to stay true to my beliefs, my TI if I'm faking it. So what I normally do is if I'm around people that I just don't vibe with or they don't vibe with me, I find a way to exclude myself versus saying this is stupid out loud and leaving, as maybe other ISTPs might.
Right.
So I just kind of fade into the background until I'm no longer there.
I see.
And if there's a reason for me to be there, I will continue to contribute to the group as long as I can.
Okay, so I'm only bringing that up because one of my best friends growing up is an ISTP. He actually
Mm-hmm.
looks exactly like you, like except he's
My
white.
best my
Except
best
he's
friend's
white.
an ENFP also, by the way. Yeah,
Yeah, except he's white, but like you're Hispanic, right? But
sure.
but dude, you have the same forehead, same beard, like
Uh-huh.
everything is the same. Like, and his FE is because I know him, right? So like I grew up with him, so I know his FE is fake. That's why I was asking the question. Like
Okay.
he knows how to use the FE, but he uses it for like strategic advantage. He doesn't use it like he uses it for strategic advantage. It's also and he also likes drama. Like he loves like triggering people on purpose because he thinks it's fun.
Okay.
Because he thinks it's funny.
Okay.
Uh, so that's why I was asking you those questions because I was like,
No, I
hey.
can't do that. I can't do it because then I know I have to atone for what I did later. I just no.
So I think for you maybe you're using your your NI more, where you're like, okay, I can see the repercussion later on if I did that. I don't know if you did that when you were younger and you got caught and then you just stopped doing it altogether. But
No, I grew up in a home where, no one's life is ideal, or seldom is. I grew up in a home where the quieter you were, the less likely you were to trigger the adult who was never really happy and stuff like that. So I learned early on how to be the quiet one, not make waves, and contribute where it's needed, so then you could be left alone later. According to Dave and Shan, traumas are the opposite of traumas, great things. They don't make you who you are. You always are who you were from the get. It just so happens that I think that my cognitive stack and the way my animals are arranged were very coincidentally what I needed to grow up the way I did and come out as healthy an individuals I hope I turned out to be. They
would
reinforced it.
would you say all that stuff that you just mentioned? Would you say it's more cultural then, more external? Like that was kind of like drilled into you, with the FE, because FE is sharing the tribe spectrum of values, right? So that's you kind of like, okay, you saw your family's spectrum of values and you took that in for yourself, and that's what you adhere to. Would you say that's something that you did?
I tried to take care of those who were also going through it, and I tried to be there for the person who was causing a lot of the chaos in the family. And the closer you got to that chaos, the worse it became. So I just took care of those in the periphery, my brothers, my mom, as much as I could. I have two brothers, and I don't know if any of them have FE necessarily, and their relationship to my parents are much different than mine. I think they have FI, and they tend to stick to more what they believe in. And if that's ever challenged, they would speak up strongly in defense of, where I would just say, okay, that's what you believe. I don't agree. And I'm not even going to tell you I don't agree. I'm going to say, are we done with this? Okay, well, then I'm going to go back to living my life.
Okay,
Yeah.
that sounds like it's FE. You just want the vibe to be good, even if
Yeah.
even if your TI disagrees with what they said. The vibe is, as long as the vibe is fine, it's fine.
Yeah.
We can both disagree. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, have you had any tidal waves from that FE? Because the typical tidal waves from ISTPs would be like tribe hate, right? So have you experienced that when you were younger?
No, not that I can think of. The closest thing to FE tidal wave is, since I'm tribe above self, I gave so much to the wrong people that I found myself isolated from those who had my genuine best interests. Not because I pushed them away, but because I let them go so far away that I still found myself alone. But it wasn't an act, it was more like a passive thing that had that happen.
Since you are an ISTP or IP in general,
Mhm.
um, apparently one of the IP's biggest desire in life is significance. Um, can you talk about that? Like wanting to be like, important, or wanting to be um, high status or competent, like how is that important to you as an IP? Because I heard a lot of IPs, significance is one of the top things that matters to them.
Yes. I will admit that a lot of the things that are typical to my type or to the IPs in general, I'm actually very embarrassed of. I look to be embarrassed because I don't want to fall into the stereotype too hard.
Okay.
But I am who I am, and I have to embrace it. That's the only way you actually do things that don't embarrass you later, if you're conscious of it. So to answer that question, I have a daughter, and I try to be the best version of myself that I can. So to raise her passively. I'm not a do as I say, not as I do kind of person. I try to do as I do. You know, the problem with that is that since my TI is masculine, I'm very hard on myself on the inside. And that translates to the outside. Sometimes I'm very hard on her not thinking that I am because, well, that's the way I treat myself. But she's not an ISTP that I can surmise. So I might come off as a little bit strict. Um, but then I see if she's ever suffering as a result, for lack of a better term, and I try to FE and like, here, let's go have ice cream, or like, yeah, you can stay up half an hour later. So I try to balance it, but
Right.
it's kind of like the savior demon dynamic. It's a lot of one or a lot of the other. I'm trying to work on that balance.
Your description too about, yeah, you can stay up 30 minutes late or you can have some ice cream. That sounds kind of like the double observer also. With the gathering and the organizing, it's like, so you're strict. So that's like the I guess what is it? What do you call it? The OI. And then, but then sometimes you're easygoing. You're like, oh yeah, 30 minutes early, go have some ice cream, the
Yeah.
OE, right? So talk about being balanced with, gathering and organizing or control and chaos. Talk about how you're so balanced with those two.
Through my double observing, you mean?
Yeah, like just in general, like you gave an example already of how you use it with your daughter, but like in general for yourself, how you can use work as an example, but how do you, or just in day-to-day life, like I noticed a lot of IPs and EJs, for example, they don't really usually have money problems because they're so good at, you know, that stuff. But like people would like, you know, EPs, for example, they have trouble controlling the finances, or the IJ who don't gather any life experience. They get to the end of their life and they realize they wasted their whole life because they've only organized and they have nothing new, and they wasted their life essentially, So like you're in the middle, so you can do both, right? Like you're really realistic enough to control the, I don't know, finance or stuff that needs to be controlled, but then
Uh-huh.
you're also gathery enough that you can enjoy life and make, do things that is fun and makes you happy. So talk about that.
Okay. I actually, my best friend, she's an ENFP. They're not typed by ops, they're typed by me and 16personalities.com, but I've kind of cross-checked the things that I know and they're very close to what they say. So she's an ENFP and he's an INFJ. And sometimes I see them lift each other up to the highest of highs, and sometimes I see them tear each other down because they're opposites. And I see what you say as far as he's very in his box, and he's almost 40. He's beginning to question life and all the things that he's done and what is he even going to do now. And she's like, I'm so sick of doing new things. I need to pick one and stick to it. And
Yeah.
I think they're both kind of finding that balance now. But your question was about me.
Right.
Um, it helps to be a double observer in my place of business. Television, I'd say, is kind of like being in a firefighter's place. You see them sometimes playing basketball, grilling hot dogs, and life is good. But when that bell rings and there's a fire, they have to. There's no. It's just that simple. They have to. There's no, well, let's give it our best shot. No, people's lives depend on you doing your job, and you doing your job means putting yours on the line, and you have to be okay with that. My job is not a matter of life and death, but TV is a very strict environment. There can be no mistakes. If there's any mistakes, there's major repercussions, even for the smallest things. If a piece of equipment fails, everybody's looking at you to fix it so the show can keep going on, or whatever the program is. And if you did it, good job, get the hell out of here. It's not like they praise you much. And if you don't do it, your career can be on the line. And I'm okay with that. As a matter of fact, if I didn't have that level of pressure on me all the time, I would be very bored at what I do, as has been cases in the past. I've had great jobs, and I hate every moment of it because it's just come in, do your thing, and go home. Like what am I even doing here? So I love chaos. I love chaos because with all the consuming that I do, I can bring it down into order again. And I do it with enough consistency that I'm I've grown confident and comfortable in bringing order to chaos. And when I FEC people say, you bring me peace and tranquility to my life, what I'm able to do naturally makes people feel good. It's just like, it's perfect. So I've always been helping my family, friends, and now I've made a career out of helping people technically. Um, And yeah, and it just feels real good in a place where usually good feelings shouldn't occur.
It just seems like you have a lot of EP and IJ friends, and they're incompetent at like this stuff. And when you say you bring them peace, it's because they don't know this shit, right? Like,
Yeah.
so you come in and they're like, "Oh, thank God you're here," because like the EP's way too chaotic, the IJ's way too controlling. Uh, like there's gonna have things problem. Like the stuff that you talk about, like equipments are not working. That's both the EP and the IJ, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
IJs hate the printers. Like they talk about,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
uh, and so like for me that happened to me. So like every time I interview like ENFP, they're having trouble with Zoom. Like the first 10 minutes is just them fixing Zoom, right? And I'm
Right.
not even making this up. Like ENFPs and ENTPs, like right before I interview them, there's like a over 50%. I'm not even joking. At minimum, over 50% of them, we can't start on time because their Zoom is not working. And I'm like, oh my god, damn, like SI
The thing
uh,
doesn't work. The thing doesn't work.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. The thing doesn't work. So when you say, oh, I bring peace to these people, I'm like, yeah, you do literally bring peace to these people, you know, because they're caught with their pants down because they don't know what's going on, right?
Right. Right. And I don't even try. That's just it. It's just like I really don't try. Like oh, they like having me around, and I'm like, well, I'm an introvert. I don't want you that around, but okay, whatever, you know. And some of the better friends that I've made, this couple, the EPIJ, is kind of as a result of that. You know.
You're not an introvert though. You're introvert in the old terms, but turns out you're actually very extroverted.
I'm making an effort not to continue to talk about certain things and perpetuate the conversation like I have a tendency to do. Yeah.
Okay, so let's go in that direction then. So you thought you were introverted, but turns out you are the most extroverted ISTP type. So how did that like what is your opinion of that? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you find it to be useful? Do you find it to be draining? Like what's your opinion of, you know?
I've learned to accept it. A long time ago, partially because of my upbringing and because of my personal hero's journey, to throw out a ops term there. I've just learned to accept as much of the things that I can in my life and personally that are negative, because in there is good, there is positivity, and every time I'm going through something that's uncomfortable and I don't like it, I'm like, wait a minute, there's something here. Oh, and it turns into like a scavenger hunt. There's a prize, there's a golden egg somewhere in here, even if it's small. If it could be a little lizard egg, or there's an ostrich egg. There's something in here. And that's how I actually pull myself out of a lot of negativity in my life, trying to find the good. Um, I absolutely forgot your question.
It's okay. Like no, I was just asking if you no you answered it. I asked you if you like being the most extroverted ISTP type.
It
But
is exhausting
yeah.
sometimes. It
Well,
is.
okay. So let's go with that. Your sleep last.
Yeah.
Obviously you're going to be exhausted a lot of times like I am,
Uh-huh.
constantly feeling constantly fatigued, just because always expending energy, with that high play, either with for people or just in general, like you're just expending energy nonstop. So
Mhm.
talk about that, feeling of exhaustion, like constantly just doing things.
So yes, I'm lead consume and secondary play, and I want to make people feel good. So I'm always doing things for people. Uh, if I don't have people around me, I feel very lost, and I get what I would consider my version of anxiety because I have nowhere to send this energy to. So like I said, if somebody comes 20 feet next, close to me, I'm like, can I make you something to eat? Can I whatever? So I don't realize how tired I am, and I usually fall asleep watching YouTube, or I play music, I play guitar. Sometimes I've done this while holding a guitar in my hands. I don't do sitting down and doing nothing well. I have had to learn how to cultivate my sleep, and ironically, it's while exercising. If I go on a bicycle ride, I usually go for 40 miles or so.
Wow.
I practice yoga for 3 years now, and it's high intensity, high heat. It's something that causes me to focus on the environment, not get hit by a car, or don't forget to breathe so you don't pass out and embarrass yourself in front of everybody. And it's in those moments of physical being strenuously physical that I actually go inward and actually process all the emotions, all the scenarios, and everything that I have going on. Otherwise, I am consuming to a detriment. YouTube, ops. I mean, this has been an obsession of mine. Um, I don't watch TV or movies anymore uh, because I don't learn from them. Or very seldom do I watch entertainment stuff. It has to be something where it's feeding this. Um, and I think by now I've answered your question, but I'm still ranting. That's the dichotomy between the both of them. I will keep going till I fall asleep. And the only thing that's sorry, the only thing that's saved me from that is actually some advice that Shan gave me. God bless her heart. She said, write out the things that you do as you do them. And I have this dry erase board where when I complete a task, I said, I did this, I did that. And sometimes the list is like this long, and I'm like, oh, wow, then I do deserve 30 minutes to myself.
Right.
And I make it a point to take those 30 minutes and go sit outside in my backyard, do nothing. And I feel like I've earned it as a result.
So I like how you said that when you were doing yoga or going on a bike ride, that you felt it was meditative, like it
Yeah.
was a chance to process your thoughts and feelings. Um, I do the same thing. I feel the same way as you.
You're in the fitness industry, right?
I am, yeah. I'm a personal trainer, so I do notice that when I work out, I don't listen to music. I'm just in my head. It's also meditative. Like I'm thinking about my feelings. I'm thinking about my thoughts. Also, when I drive, it's kind of like similar to your bicycle. But when I drive, I don't listen to music either. I'm just like processing my thoughts. I see it as like the time to think and process. Like I don't listen to music or anything entertaining. It's just just thinking. So I think a lot of that could be kinesthetic. So would you say that's part of you being kinesthetic? Like the movement is what's therapeutic, what is meditative.
I don't know if this is going to be an ST or an SF explanation, but absolutely. So yoga, bicycle, or like most other activities that aren't like a game, like a competition,
Yeah.
is structured in nothing but repetitive motions. Your feet are doing this more than you're turning. While I'm doing yoga, it's generally the same poses or combinations of known physical information. And it's just getting lost in the repetition, but having to maintain it. That I put my body on autopilot, and my mind at that point is allowed to explore itself and things a little more.
A few days ago, I got a chance to play basketball with my friends after being locked down for over a year already.
Oh, okay. How did that go?
And after 2.5 hours of playing nonstop basketball, like
Wow.
I was absolutely spent, like playing competitive basketball. And the next day when I woke up, I've never felt more at peace than after doing that, which was really weird because I just spent 2.5 hours of nonstop, like running around, doing layups, shooting and stuff.
Uh-huh.
So I really think there's something into that kinesthetic thing that if you like, you do have to. I feel like I'm starting to think now, like based on my experience and also your experience and other people that I interviewed, that when you do your sexual modalities,
Mhm.
kinesthetic, I think that is a way for you to enter sleep. I don't know why that's what's happening, but it seems to be like something that I'm starting to just figure out now or discover is that the audio kinesthetic for us, for we're both audio kinesthetic. When we do those things, we relax
Absolutely.
so it's really weird. So um, this is gonna segue me to my follow-up question to you then. Is that when you listen to music or do anything that auditory, do you also feel relaxed? Do you also feel like at ease?
It depends on the music. A lot of people say, "Oh, I listen to everything." I do listen to a lot of things, but the music that I put on when I'm cooking or doing yoga or anything around the house, like I have to have music if I'm cleaning because I hate organizing. I hate SI. And it's not even in my stack. That's somewhere else. But like if I have to fold laundry, I have to have Dave and Shan talking to me, or I have to have music. Now the music that I listen to doesn't have lyrics a lot of the time. It's like what do they call, like lo-fi chill hop or jazz hop. The beat is very steady. The beat is very repetitious. The songs change, but the beat is usually the same beats per minute. There's something constant that my brain latches onto, so I can do something monotonous and repetitious. So like it entertains the part of me that otherwise would need to be consuming new information. It's almost like it gives that baby a bottle and says, just be quiet for a few minutes while you do something boring. So yes, music does help me get through driving places. It helps me do things around the house. Um, and it does quiet up the consume part of my mind, I believe.
That's interesting that you brought up that when you have to do boring SI stuff, because everyone has to do SI even if you don't have it. It's just one of those things that everyone has to do for some reason. It's like one of those, it's like FE. Everyone has to use FE also. It's so stupid, right? Like everyone has to use FE and everyone has to use SI. Those are like the two functions. Even if you don't have it, you have to use it. And
At some point, yeah.
yeah, and like it's so dumb. It's just like how life is, I guess. So like for you, you don't have SI. I don't have
No.
FE, and I hate using that FE. I know how to use it just because in life you have to use it.
Mhm.
Just like you have to fold clothes, like you have no choice, right? So I like how you said that you want to listen to music with no lyrics, because I also resonate with that, and not just me, but I've also interviewed people that said the same thing, and they're all
Mhm.
audio kinesthetic, which is super interesting. Is
Mhm.
that especially with high play? So there's a few recipes that has to be in place. So high play audio don't feel relaxed when they listen to music with lyrics because they're listening to the words that's being
Right.
said in the music. So it becomes play, which takes away from sleep. So it's like it has to be a song with no lyrics for it to be relaxing, where you're just enjoying the vibe, the feel, the beat,
Right. Right.
and because otherwise, the moment you hear the words, now it's like play. It's like, oh, great, ruin.
Yeah. So I have a couple friends that my ENFP friend, she's really into lyrics. Like she can't, that's like what she listens to the song for the message in it. And we had this conversation once. She's like, what do you mean you don't listen to what they say? I said, the human voice just becomes another instrument in the track. I can hear the words, but I don't make it a point to put the message together, because most of the time it's about stuff that I'm not even into in the first place. Um, but yeah. So if there's lyrics, it becomes another instrument, and if it's not there, even better, because it's something less I have to work to tune out,
Right.
kind of thing.
I noticed with those with demon play, they love
Uh-huh.
words and lyrics because to them, I guess the demon plays there, so they like it in that form because
Okay.
it feels safer for them. I don't know. I don't know what the reason is, but um, I did notice that like those with demon play get relaxed from hearing words.
Interesting.
Not just from music, but it could be like a TV show or a radio, just having in the background. I don't find it relaxing personally. I find it very draining, but for them, it's very relaxing. It's like calming, and I'm like, that is so weird, demon play. Like,
Do you think that it could be because people are speaking on their behalf, or they can find people who resonate with a vibe that they want to embody that they might not be able to make happen on their own?
um, well, some of the things that I've heard them say is that it's too much effort to actually engage in play,
Okay.
real play.
Yeah.
Unless you already know some of the people, like they're your family or friends that you knew since you were a kid. Um, so the best thing for them to engage in that play is just to like listen to it, in a TV show or radio or music. It's like a passive play. Like they're not part of it, but they're listening into it, and it's like
Okay.
they'll play, but
Okay.
they don't have to be involved. It's weird. It's a weird thing.
Through proxy, they're playing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
Cool.
so I think it's it's definitely interesting. like one thing I noticed too, like with people with like low play, is like they like being in a, like, let's say you're going on a road trip, they
Uh-huh.
like being in a car and hearing people have a conversation in the car. They just want to listen in. They don't want to talk.
Yeah.
They don't want to be part of the conversation, but they love like being in the back seat of the car and just like listening into what's being said. Like,
Okay.
you know, like for me, I want to be involved in that like conversation because it's
Uh-huh.
fun. But for them, no, it's like, nope, I want to be in backseat, but like this is interesting. You guys keep going. I want to listen to like the whole conversation. Like,
Right.
you know.
Like they can be a part of it and feel all the chemicals without actually having to manipulate it themselves.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Because
That's cool. Yeah.
if they involve themselves, then they get drained. So it's like weird. You know, humans are weird. Um, your sleep loss is NT. So what kind of struggles have you had with abstract concepts that are logical? Like what kind of stuff did you struggle with that abstract concept that is logical?
So my brother is an MBTI INTJ, and him and I go on these conversations that go to the outer reaches of the solar system and come back sometimes. But stereotypically, he starts with his concept and then tries to piece together why it is that he said the things that he does with some considerable amount of effort, and it's draining to him. And I love my brother, poor guy. He has to listen to me give him all the details before I come up with my little NI concept. But sometimes we meet in the middle and then we could build from that. So I struggle very much jumping to conclusions. Uh, I struggle very much wanting to say, this is the problem with that computer at work until I haven't figured out all the stuff in between. And it's so bad, Kendrick. It's so bad that my daughter comes up to me and she goes, Papi, give me a number 1 through 4. Why? What am I guessing at? And she's like, just give me a number 1 through. She has like 4 markers in her hands. I'm like, which number pertains to which marker? She goes, just give me a number. I'm like, 3. And it's so hard for me to do that because now I feel like I'm responsible for whatever happens as a result of my uneducated guess.
Yeah.
If her drawing comes out bad, now I effing feel bad that my daughter feels bad because I chose the wrong number,
Yeah.
and it's her fault for not telling me what the numbers were for, and it all just so. But I practiced it every day. Poppy, give me a number 2, and I just deal with it, and I deal with it, and I try to do that at work too. I try to, albeit more silently, like I'll say, I think this is not working because, hey guys, why don't we check that out? And they don't question me because I guess I've showed them enough that I know what I'm talking about, that they kind of have faith in what it is that I'm saying. And if I'm wrong, I don't, what do they say, flatulate myself, like
Oh, right. Yeah.
I don't beat myself up
Yeah.
because I was wrong. I said, okay, I was wrong. But I noticed that they always want to take guesses first. It's this, it's that, and they're blaming things that don't even have anything to do with each other, and they just roll with it. So if I'm gonna FE the way you're supposed to FE, you have to serve the tribe at whatever level they're at. And like Dave and Shan say, if you're surrounded by stupid people, you have to dumb yourself down. With a lot of practice, have learned to not try to be the one who's right all the time. And I found myself more accepted by the less informed people that I am surrounded with, to not say anything else.
Idiots.
Thank you. Thank you. I didn't want to say it, but thank you. Yeah.
I can say it. I'm a total insider. I can get away with anything.
Yes. God bless you, double deciders. I don't know how you. I look up to you guys so much all the time. Yes.
Yeah, I say a lot of offensive things because I know I can get away with it.
you say it for us, and I'm like, yes.
Yeah, I know my friends. I know my friends thinking it, so I just say it, and then he's like, "Oh my god," like.
I think that's why my best friend's an ENFP, because she says everything that I'm not allowed to say.
Yeah.
And I help her with all the things that bring her, chaos or whatever, her stuff.
Narrowing down.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny that it's harder for you because your NI is also feminine, right? So I think if someone had masculine NI, they're more okay with making a guess because
Right.
it is being pressed on. Yours is feminine NI. It's single activated. Sleep last. It's like a lot of the NI is gonna be like one of your biggest life problems.
It is.
Um, it's interesting. Like you don't want to make a guess. Like it's so difficult for you to just make a guess. Like because guessing is also educated. It's an educated guess. It's
Right.
not as random as you think. Like there is the reason why someone made a guess on that is because they saw patterns already that said, okay, you know what, this makes like it's the logical next step.
Mhm.
You know, like a prediction. For example, with my NE, a few days ago when I was playing basketball with my friends, the first two games we played, I lost, right? And then I was sitting there, I was like, what am I doing wrong? Why did I keep losing this game?
Okay.
Like, why am I losing? And then, so I was standing there, and then we're now having our third game. So my friend who looks like you, he keeps dominating, right? He won the first two games, right? And then we try to change teams around, but me and him are usually in opposite teams because otherwise it wouldn't be fair because my other two friends are not very good. Um,
Okay.
um, so I'm like, okay, how can I beat him? Because he's lead SE, so obviously he's gonna dominate
Oh,
me.
yeah.
I beat him. I can beat him 1-on-1, but when it comes to teams, he seems to be better.
Okay.
Um, so I'm like, I know exactly how I'm gonna beat him. I figured it out because I saw the pattern of the game, like why my team would lose. I saw the pattern. It was always the same reason. It was that I
Please
was
tell me how. Yeah.
I was getting tired, and my teammate was getting tired because we're trying to do layups and we're trying to drive through the hoop, which was expending a lot of energy.
Uh-huh.
Um, so I realized I'm like, okay, I think what I need to do is just shoot 3 points, like at the 3 point line.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I'm gonna pull like a step. I don't know if you watch NBA, but Steph Curry. I'm gonna pull a Steph Curry. Just
Okay.
3 pointers. Um, but and I knew that because if I shot like 10 times on the field or if I do a layup versus 10 times in the 3 point line, it would be the same result
Mhm.
because I'm not. I just started playing basketball and I suck at both. So I might as well
Okay.
try. I might as well try the one that drains the least amount of energy and can output the same amount of that can output more points, right?
Uh-huh.
It's all n, right? It's all n. It's all like intuition, right? There's nothing to prove this. It's just in my head, right?
Okay.
And then I start talking shit to my friend, right? I'm like, I know how to beat you now. I've seen it. He said, I have. I told him like, I have seen it. I have seen the future, and I know how to defeat you. That's what I said to him, right? Like I know
Uh-huh.
exactly what to do. He's like, I'll believe it when I see it. SE, right? I'll believe it when I
Yeah.
see it, right? And I beat him.
Oh, so you're like a warlock. He's like, how did he figure it out? Because he doesn't know the steps that it took for you to,
Yeah,
to know what you knew, and it's just like it's magic, it's sorcery, it's
yeah,
intuition.
I was talking shit to him too, right? I was like, I'm the master strategist. I was telling that,
Double
I'm the master
deciding
strategist.
bastard, yeah.
I know exactly how to be. Because I noticed like his teammate would also. So I noticed that if him and his teammate would expend all their energy, uh,
Uh-huh.
try to drive, then eventually I would win just because my energy level is still up. I'm using my
Okay.
sleep class now. I'm trying to respect my sleep class also. So
Okay.
it's like using my sleep class plus my NE. And I beat him decisively too, right? I beat him so
Nice.
bad that he stole my strategy. So next game he just started doing exactly what I was doing.
Well,
He stopped driving, he started just shooting 3 pointers too, right? And he won.
what is it? There's a saying that says something about the greatest honor you could receive is somebody imitating you or somebody paying you homage or something like that. So if they stole your strategy, I mean,
Yeah, I
good
told him,
job.
I'm like, you asshole, you stole my strategy. You're stealing my strategy. He's like, well, it worked, so I'm gonna take it.
I have a question for you though. You had mentioned something about you used your intuition to derive what was working or what wasn't working from their side, so you can adapt and overcome.
Yeah.
How does NE? Because NE is about possibilities. Based on this, all of this stuff is possible. NI is about, well, because of all of this is possible.
Right.
How does NE develop a strategy for what you're seeing happen around you to then come up with your next strategy?
Well, NE is real time. NI
Okay.
is long term plan.
Yes.
Um, David Chan said when you use NI, you're adhering to the plan no matter what. You don't deviate from the plan, right?
Okay.
When you're playing basketball, things change within a split second. You can't just stick to that one plan.
Hmm.
So you need to be flexible on how you're gonna plan your attack. So for me, for that specific game, um, I noticed a pattern first, like I still have SI. I can see the facts, right? Fact number one,
Sure.
we're getting tired.
Hmm.
Fact number two, um, I just came back from playing basketball and I suck at shooting because I haven't played in a long time. So regardless
Okay.
if I shoot, right beside the hoop, it's pretty sad. I'm like right beside the hoop, I'm still gonna miss, right? Or
Uh-huh.
if I shoot in a 3 point line, it's gonna be the same end thing. It's gonna be the same thing, which doesn't make sense to you, right? Like why would it be easier to shoot in a 3 point line than right beside the hoop? But for someone that's like sensory stupid like me, for me it's the same shit, right? Because if I suck at both, then I might as well go with the one that at least will give me more points if I get it in, right? Uh,
Right.
and
But that's totally logical though. I mean, I don't see any fault in that argument.
right, and then I was also looking at the people, right? Because my NE is also with like external, so I was looking at like the kind of like I can see the stats of every player. So my
Hmm.
friend who looks like you, he's Russian, right? And he's tall, right? So I'm like, okay, so this guy he can shoot good, he has a higher stamina, um, and whatnot. But his teammate, so I have two friends from Iran.
Uh-huh.
So there's four of us playing, right? And two of them are from Iran. They're Persians, right? I know they both suck. They're worse than me. They're terrible. One
Okay.
of them is way overweight and he has zero stamina. And
Okay.
he also hasn't played in a while, so he can't shoot. The other guy, he already wasted all his energy in the first game. So even though he can shoot, his brain is now fried and he won't be able to
Right.
function.
Uh-huh.
So I was just so my teammate was the overweight guy. So he's always preserving his energy and he just kind of just stands in the same place, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna hope because my NE's like a lot of it's like guesswork that
You're
when I
gonna
shoot
hope, yeah.
the ball, if it misses, he's gonna get the rebound because my friend's teammate has no energy left because he spent it all in the first game. So
Yeah.
he's the other guy, even though he's overweight, he still has energy left because he doesn't run. He doesn't run because he's overweight. He doesn't want to run, right? He just stands in the same spot.
Sure.
So I'm just hoping by pure luck that he'll get the rebound. And,
Uh-huh.
and my friend would check me. So I'm like taking all these factors into consideration, and I came up with this like one concept plan. Just shoot from the 3 point line. Hope my friend will get the rebound, and it worked. I won, and he stole it. Like I said, the second game he did the exact same thing. He's like he said he started shooting for 3 point and hope the teammate would get the rebound.
Nice.
Uh,
Cool. Now you have to adapt and overcome in a different way. Yeah.
yeah, so he beat me the game afterward because he stole my strategy. So in the last game, I won again because I had to adapt from that strategy. And so how I
Nice.
adapted was I would fake a 3 point, but I would drive because then they think I'm gonna shoot a 3 pointer because they got used to it, right? You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and I also noticed their SE. So I noticed with SE you can lie to them, right? And they'll fall for it every time. So this is the how I this is the,
Oh,
so this is how I noticed with NE is that with people with SE, they're gonna follow the sensory stuff that you say. So
absolutely.
I completely corrupted their SE, right? So I said, I'm gonna shoot 3 points, I'm gonna shoot 3 points, I'm gonna shoot 3 points, and I go drive. And they're like, what? Because I know that they're consuming the ST, right? Like he's gonna
Wow.
shoot the 3 points, he's gonna shoot the 3 point, he's gonna shoot the 3 points. And then I just run and then did a drive. And by the time I drive, they're like, like, because I put them in the consume mode from
Yeah, absolutely.
by me saying it over and over again, and then I trapped them in that consume, and then that's when I drove in and got the layup in, and I started doing
You
that several.
you psychologically and physically psych them out.
Yeah, and then now they don't know if I'm gonna shoot a tree or I'm gonna do a drive because I can just spam out words that I know he's gonna ST consume, and 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 it what I'm saying is not exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do something else because with any I can almost hold two thoughts at one time, right? It's kind of messed up. It's really crazy. Like
I see. I'm trying to follow exactly what you're saying. I couldn't do that in
yeah,
the sense that if I knew I was going to go for like a layup, for instance, and I wanted to fake them out and say, oh, I'm going to shoot a three, trying to do something that I can't cognitively do right, it comes out awkward and fake. In other words, I couldn't lie to save my life. So if I tried to say, "Oh, I'm going to shoot a three," I would probably say it in such a way that they look at me like, "Who are you trying to fool?"
right.
That's amazing. And but reversing it, like trying to be on the other side, like being like your friends. I'm that way with SC. Like, oh, there's a bird. Oh, there's a squirrel. Oh, look, there's a lake. I'm so attached to whatever is coming into my eyes at the moment that if you said something or I saw you try to fake, that explains so much in school when they made us play sports in high school and in junior high. I was one of the worst people. Someone would fake left and I would 100% of the time go left, and they would just go around me the whole time
Yeah,
because I was.
yeah, exactly.
You've taught me a good couple of things in this conversation, Kendrick. This was one of them. Wow. Okay.
I know when I'm dealing with someone with ST,
Uh
I can easily faint, and you guys will fall for it every time. Like it's
huh.
and also with NE, I can see like I can play a movie in my head of how things are gonna move in the physical world.
Hmm.
When I'm driving to the hoop, I already know like the kind of movements I'm gonna do to like to avoid everyone. I've successfully driven through three people before, like who's
Okay.
guarding the key, just because I've already NE planned out how I was gonna attack the key exactly to the point where they won't have time to react. You know, because I've already like the sequence has already been planned in my head. I'm a really short Asian guy too. I'm like 5'6", and like I can like drive through tall people. Doing with the NE, it's really
Nice.
like I don't know. It's weird. Like you think NE sucks at playing sports, right? But like I'm also kinesthetic, so I'm not bad. I'm just short. Like if I was taller, I'd be a lot better, I think. But um, you know, the fact that I can still use the NE to take advantage of the situation is always good. You know, um,
Sure. My ENFP friend practices MMA as for exercise more than actual competition, but she practices MMA, and she does high like Orange Theory, like high repetition, fast movement things. And unless she does that, she's a ball of nerves and mess. It's so she gets herself, taken care of that way.
I do notice though that with my friend who looks like you, if I play tennis with him, for example, I'm not gonna beat him. There's no way to feint. You know,
Right.
it's literally back and forth. And I do notice like David Shan type that tennis player, Novak Djokovic or something like the
Okay.
Serbian player. He's
Uh-huh.
number one in the world right now, and he's consumed last. He's an INFJ jumper,
Okay.
and dominant is the best at a sensory game. It's kind of interesting to see that happen, right? It's like
Hmm.
because you would think and dominant people are horrible at sports. When the truth is that's not true. It's a lot of it's kinesthetic too, right? uh, GSP. I don't know if you watch MMA like UFC, but you
Hmm.
know, the best welterweight champion of all time, who defended his belt 9 times in a row, is
Hmm.
also an INFJ. And dominant.
Really?
Yeah, also and dominant. So there's so many and dominant people that's dominating the sport because they're so weird. They're doing things that doesn't make sense to the sensory people, right? The sensory people are very streamlined when they do things. Well,
Hmm.
the and dominant has like a lot of strategic factor to it.
Hmm.
I mean, I know what he's doing though, because I'm watching his fights, right? And I'm like, I already know what he's gonna do because I have N, right? And he does exactly what I think he's gonna do. But the sensory people don't know what he's doing, and I'm like, are you stupid? Like,
You would think it should be the other way around, but no. Yeah.
no, his strategy is so obvious because he's NI. I already know what he's gonna do because they say that the extroverted function can see the introverted function, you know.
Okay.
So the FE can see the FI people. So when that FI person's sad, you're like, hey man, just cheer up, like you can see
Yeah.
that, right? But then the NE can see the NI, right? So for me, I can see like Dave said it in one of his videos. I can beat everyone except for those NE people. Like I get really worried when there's an ENFP and ENTP around. You know, he's like I can beat most types, but like when those NE comes people, I was like, I get a little bit worried. You know,
Nice.
you know, because like yeah, the NI's only weakness is NE, right?
Right.
Just like
Just like they've mentioned a lot of the times, uh, because him and Shan are TE dominant,
yeah.
and he says only TI people can make us feel stupid. I was like, and then my FE, of course, is like, I would never want to make them feel stupid, but I understand the concept how a TI would make a TE feel dumb.
Well, no, that's not this. They said the FE people makes them feel like stupid. They said that
FE?
yeah, the FE people, but
Okay.
not the TI. That they said the TI people, they can see if your idea is stupid or not.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
Is that how you want to put it together? All right, whatever.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what they said. It's like, okay, well, no one's gonna care, but all right, do whatever you want if you think so good.
Yeah.
'Cause they don't respect the FE, right? Because
Right.
they went all in the TI. So for you, it's like a benefit because you have the FE, right? So you can actually show people your idea first, and they can tell if it's
Yeah.
dumb or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when they think it's dumb, you're like, oh, good, I can rework it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's your, I guess, superpower with a double activated FE because you can respect that. You know,
Sure. Yeah, I can see what you're saying. Yeah, I'm not afraid to take a couple of punches. I'm really not. Even though TI is my identity, I'm so focused on the way people feel about things that I'm okay taking a couple hits to actually make it a better thing. Like I need that. I need that criticism. I need that, and I need it ST clear. This sucks. Great. Thank you. Now I know how to make it better. But when people, it's okay. I can't do anything with people saying, oh, it's okay. No, no, it really is good. Like you're worthless to me. I need somebody to hit me hard.
Yeah.
Please. I need it.
So,
Yeah.
okay, how do you feel when people make up ST, like fake ST? They're giving you facts, but it's made up facts, and your gut feeling tells you it's fake, but they won't admit it's fake. So they're sticking to their story.
I absolutely 100% lose all respect for them.
What if they're like one of your close friends? You know.
I don't tell them. I can't tell them. I'll be like, oh, well, why did you have you thought about it this way? And usually I can sway them. If I can see that I can sway them, then I know they didn't know that what they were talking about. Generally speaking, I have true to my ISTP self, I have very little friends, very few friends. And those friends are very close to me.
Yeah.
And we're so comfortable around each other that we're not afraid to look dumb. I'm not afraid to be NF vulnerable around them. I seek their counsel for emotional things more than I feel proud that I'm proud of. And they come to me to ask me, I have no clue how this works. Please save me, kind of thing. And through that, whether they understand cognitive functions or not, because they're not into it like I am, we are all better people as our own little personal tribe or community. But yeah, I can't stand when people fake stuff around me. It's like just tell me the truth so we can efficiently get through this. Now I got to waste my time making you feel like you know what you're talking about and have a place in my life, which is the opposite is happening. And now your time is wasted, my time is wasted, the energy that I need to fix your problem is being wasted. It's difficult.
So I want to bring back my friends again, that because I guess they're doing something that I think would piss you off.
Okay.
So my friend who looks like you, he's very competitive. I think TI people are very competitive in general, and he likes to make sure that he's doing really well in life, and it's not about the items too, like the stuff, because he told me like if he lost all of the stuff he has right now, it would be awesome actually, because he can
liberating.
No, because he said that I can start from scratch, and that sounds fun. The idea of like having the ability to build another empire from nothing, because he has a multi-million-dollar company now. Like he started from scratch, right, with his
Cool.
wife. He got lucky, partnered up with the right person too. But like
your friend's not Tom Bilyeu, is he?
No, he's not Tom Bilyeu. But have you heard of the company called Lululemon?
Yeah.
So
no way.
So his wife, no, he's not with Lululemon, but his wife is the head designer for Lululemon. All the clothes for Lululemon, she like before she quit, she designed it. She's friends with the CEO too, right?
Okay.
And so when they got married, they started their own apparel company. And my friend is really good at sales, and she's really good at design. So she went all in design, and he sold her design to like different fitness apparel companies. So it was the perfect synergy, right? So yeah, they made it huge. They like I said, before the pandemic, they were making like millions of dollars, like net profit, not gross, like net.
Nice.
Obviously,
good for them.
The pandemic hurt their business a lot, but it's not forever. So they just took it as time to rest. Double observer, right? So they're like, oh yeah, we'll chill out. We'll just enjoy our money,
Yeah.
But anyways, I have a friend who he doesn't like feeling inferior to other people. So when my friend is out there, because my friend brags a lot, my IP friend, that's why he gets a lot of tribe hate, because he's always bragging, right?
Okay.
And he's like, yeah, I'm living my life. I have like this Mercedes. I go to the Maldives. I stay at the over the water bungalow there. I fly first class, business class. He's like just bragging nonstop, right? So my other friend's getting like really insecure. So he started making a fake ST story about his like grand life, right? He's like, I own 13 houses. I'm so rich. I make $450,000 a year. And we know he's we know he's not smart. So it's impossible.
Okay.
But he's sticking to the story, right? So my friend, he's like kind of like he's like you, he's like info dominant, right? So he's like trying to prod into his story, right? It's like, where is this properties? Like, can you show us? He's like, I don't need to show you anything. That's what he'll say, right? He won't show any ST proof. He'll just tell you he has it, but no proof.
I'm okay. So perfectly on this conversation that you're having, faking ST, me with FE and trying to double activated FE. Like Dave and Shan always say, if the math is accurate here, it has to be accurate there. That's a cross check, and that's what makes the concept solidified. I will very embarrassingly admit before you and anyone who ends up watching this video that that is what I do with NF. I'm so hell bent on making sure that people feel good around me. I will lie emotionally just to either support the vibe, support them, or continue perpetuate whatever's happening.
Yeah.
It's not to say that I lie, like I make up my emotions, but I completely and I will from time to time embellish them. I play them up. Um, I'm being my authentic self here with you, Kendrick, but I will admit that maybe I've laughed a little harder than I really felt.
Yeah.
Not because I'm lying to you, but because this is the math. This is what happens. I know this about me. I'm not proud of it. And the more I practice being authentic, the more of a stereotypical ISTP I find myself being. Very monotone and
Yeah.
non-expressive. And funny enough, instead of like the ISTP tries to be more serving for the tribe and finding his balance or her balance that way, I'm finding my balance by actually going backwards and being more loyal to my TI. Part of that whole glass lizard thing, I'm reverse engineering myself and finding that balance. So I'm not proud of over emoting. I catch myself doing it all the time. And I use that as a lesson to be more authentic to myself and in turn more authentic to those that I care about.
The funny thing is, double deciders know that you are fake laughing.
I know. It's so
I know what a
bad.
fake laugh looks like, and I'm like, I just roll with it. I'm like, okay, sure.
I'm not proud of it.
But it's
With
not
all
just you though. Like
sincerity.
no, but other people with FE does that too. Like ESFJs do it. I've seen it. Like they have the fake laugh, right? I'm like, okay, well, just whatever. It is what it is. I'm, you know, if you don't think
I'm
it's
not proud of it.
what's that?
I'm not proud of it. With all
Well, okay,
sincerity.
okay. Only double deciders that can see it though. Like if you say to other IPs and EJs, they have no clue. So it's okay. It works. It still works. I'm not saying it's a bad strategy. You just have to know who your audience is, right? Like if
Right.
you know the person you're talking to is a decider, yeah, go ahead. They don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have no clue. But you talk to a double decider, they know. So it's like, oh, okay, just don't use it because it's not gonna work. It's the you're using it to improve the vibe, right? But if you know it's not gonna improve the vibe, there's no point. Like
There's
just
no point. Then it hurts
like
me
just
because now I'm lying to me about it's just
yeah.
yeah.
As a matter of fact, your TI is actually what's gonna improve the vibe with the with the double decider. So just use your TI. It's all good. You know?
Right. Try to be a stereotypical ISTP and I'll be better at
Yeah,
being
just
an
just be like use your like ISTPs that you like dark humor too, right? Like very dark and like
oh
TI.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I just instead of like having that friendly FE vibe, just throw the dark shit in there, like the TI. Oh, the double
Yeah.
deciders love that stuff. They're like, oh yeah, this is like Dave. Remember Dave? What Dave said? They love it when the TI leads show them their badass TI side. Like that is the badass. That is what's cool. What is the vibe? You know
The true vibe.
yeah, because the FE stuff, it's good for you give those to the deciders.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of bad. Like it's they said that yeah, the IPs they take the compliments, right, or whatever.
Yeah.
The EJs they want that acknowledgement. So yeah, I just it sounds horrible, but I just give them what they want. You know, you know.
Yeah.
But double deciders
Sure.
they're balanced in the middle, right? So they're like, okay, no, we can see what you're doing. Just show us your TI. That's good. That's what we want. Just yeah, you can be as offensive as you want. We don't care. Let's just you know
Interesting.
you
So
know
maybe that's the synergy between double deciders and double observers. If the deciders are just brash or whatever it is that they feel like being, they'll be understood by the double observers. Am I saying it in the right way? And the double observers, if they're okay freaking out about chaos and control,
yeah.
can have the other ones come in and fill in that void, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, you could do a version of that for the EPs and IGs, right? Like
I just, yeah, yeah.
you probably lie to us about some stuff that you fixed that you never really fix, you know? Like like I'll give you a bad example. Like if we're like an IP were to lie to me that they fixed my car even though they didn't, I would
Uh-huh.
believe them because I have no clue, you know.
Right.
Like I'm completely dumb when it comes to that. Like if you like were, let's say you go to Dave's house, you told me if you already fixed his printer. It's like, oh, thanks.
Yeah.
You really didn't fix it. Like it's like it's gonna break the next day, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I put a band-aid on it. I fixed it. I
Yeah,
fixed
you
it.
fix it for like one day, it'll work for just like a few prints, and then it'll break again.
Yeah.
Right? Like yeah, like so that's how you would I guess lie to the double designers because you have no clue how this shit works.
Oh, man.
But when it comes to people, no, you can't fool them. They know what's up, right? Like
Yeah.
so um it's like yeah, it's interesting how that works. You know, I know that's my vulnerable spot too. I'm like I can easily get scammed by
I
them.
I couldn't FE lie to a double decider though, because I would feel bad and I'd look at myself in the mirror and wouldn't be proud of myself. So
Well, you can't because you're info dominant, but someone that would not be info dominant would do it. You know,
right.
because like you've seen on TV, right? Like car rental companies will scam all this like people who are going there or um like I know there was a guy who lives in who my mom was friends with. He was an I think he was an ESTJ, um, and yeah, he used to own a garage, and he used to lie all to the customers. Like it's like, yeah, your car needs this thing needs to get replaced, whatever. You know, let's say I don't know, like let's say your tires is losing thread. Clearly, it just still has a lot of thread, or uh, you know,
You could say something like you're low on blinker fluid.
yeah, or your engine needs changing, or your brake pads is dull. You know, but like clearly they're still
Yeah.
perfect. You know, so he'll just lie to all those like I'm pretty sure a lot of his customers are IJs and EPs who have no clue what's happening, right? And they just bring it in and he's scamming their money. Obviously, I believe in karma, so I'll ask you questions
Interesting.
about this later on. But like if I were to guess, he's probably NF last, probably like consume last, like ESCJ. If I had to guess, because karma got him later on. His place got flooded. The money started floating in his garage that he was
Uh-huh.
cashing away because he was collecting payments in cash only, so he wasn't declaring it as revenue.
Okay.
And then someone came in and saw it and then reported him to the officials, and he got in trouble. He had to pay a huge fine.
Wow.
The karma
Karma,
is
sure.
real. You know, he so yeah, a lot of things eventually got him back in the big tidal wave later on. Consume last tidal wave. Not taking care of himself, also tidal wave. He's an EJ, doesn't take care of himself, so
Right.
he died early. He already passed away. So, you know, so tidal waves are real. So I want to bring it back to you now with NF. How do you
Okay.
experience NF? Like, it's abstract. It doesn't seem real, but it is real. It does work.
Hmm.
It's just you just can't see it. Like I'll use someone that has the same animal stack as you, who's also an ISTP, Conor McGregor.
Hmm.
Do you know Conor McGregor?
Hmm.
Yeah, everyone knows him, right? So how did he become the first ever UFC fighter to have two belts at one time? He used an NF concept called the secret. You know,
Oh, the law of attraction, sure.
yeah. I mean, what ISTP would believe that shit, right? It's like it's so woo, right? Oh, just put it out there in the universe, and the universe will give it to you if you want it bad enough. Like it's such a woo woo concept. You believe that?
In a manner of speaking, I do.
But you have a third. It's not the last, right? A lot of
Right.
ISTVs probably have NF last. So he believed it, and that's how, literally it's not. That's the reason why he has two belts. It was because he kept attributing that the NF. The NF is what set him apart. See, so when you do something that's opposite of your type, like him, it's NF, right? Like a lot of ISTPs is so in the TI that NF shit is like dumb.
Hmm.
But the result, the ST result is there, so you can't disprove that.
Absolutely.
So
Right.
how do you experience it yourself? Like how do you?
If I understood what you said correctly, you can stop me if I go
Sure.
off on a wrong tangent. I do very, very, very much believe in hippie bullshit. I do, and there was a short time in my recent past where I was actually teaching yoga. I've been practicing it now for 3 years, and I began to teach it, practice teaching it. During the physical movements, it was difficult for me to tell people what to do because I know yoga is more than just exercise. A lot of people use it for meditation and for spirituality and stuff like that. So I felt very incompetent as a person to lead them on what is my sleep, my what I get, when to me it's NT based. It's N, my N is demon. NF for me is demon. How can I teach somebody these things that I don't feel confident in? So in certain poses, I would have to actually fight these feelings within myself, because they were expecting me to teach them yoga or help them on their day, when I didn't believe it in myself. And I would say these things out loud, like, in certain poses where they'd say, look beyond your fingers while you're holding a pose. I'd be like, this is the pose where you're looking within yourself and telling your negativity, no, hold it steadfast. And these are things that no yoga people say. And all these NF people would come to me and be like, how did you know what I was feeling? Oh my, how, this is more like spiritual guidance than exercise. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm a fraud. I'm a fraud. These people believe in me and I don't believe in myself. How can I do this to them? They're going to discover that I'm lying to them. And on the outside, I'd be like this. And I'd be like, I'm glad I was able to help you in any way that I possibly could. Like all the while inside going, oh my God, they're going to find out. They're going to find out. They're like imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
And I said, just like Young and just like Dave and Shan say, where your fears are and where your darkness lies is where your work is. And I'm like, this is something I have to overcome. I'm never going to believe that I'm an NF hippie woo-woo guru,
Yeah.
but I have to practice it. And at least in practice, I can perhaps give what people need. I don't have to believe it. The proof is in them.
Yeah.
If I can FEC that it's having an effect, then it can't be bullshit. Not 100%. Because
Right.
I'm not doing it maliciously for any self-gain.
No, there's no malicious intent. No.
So I continued to do that. And that was very difficult for while I did it, but it taught me an immense amount about the power that I possess within myself and how that is translated, how people pick up on it. The IP dream, they're learning through just watching me. And this had to do with NF. So it's very difficult for me to practice NF. I see things in the real world and I see how people are doing things and I pick up on the FE vibe and I can NI a concept to them, but I don't feel my blast is NF. And I give these, what people always call, like, you're such a spiritual person. I give them these little nuggets of wisdom that I derive over long periods of time of observation. And I never feel comfortable. I always apologize. I say, I'm sorry that I'm about to be a hippie on you, but X, Y, and Z. And I don't know, with a better than half success rate, they're very appreciative for the things that I've noticed, even though I feel horribly uncomfortable giving them these nuggets of NF wisdom.
The funny thing with you being the right teacher, in my opinion, to teach the NF. I love your story, by the way. It's great.
Thank you.
It's a lot of these NF people, they're way too in the NF. So because you're the ST guy that's teaching the NF people yoga, I feel like you can like sneak in a few ST stuff in there just to like set them straight, because they're so into the NF that they're losing touch of reality, ST, right?
Right.
So I feel like because you are lead ST, you are ST, you can like sneak in a few TI truths in there, sneak in a few like ST facts in there, and they won't even notice. But it'll help them. So I feel like that is why you're the right teacher for these people, because they're like drunk on NF, and you're speaking.
I give them reality. Okay.
Yeah, you're speaking their language, but you can like subtly like feed them some of the right stuff, the ST stuff. It's like in the olden days they said that when you watch movie they have like one or few frames of like Coca-Cola or something, but you don't even know, but your subconscious picks it up, like, or something. So it's kind of like that. It's like, yeah, you're teaching the stuff, and then you sneak in like that ST in there, that sneak in a TI in there,
Coming from somebody who teaches fitness, and I can appreciate that. I never saw it that way.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, no, usually the person that is the best teacher is the person that is not that type that usually teaches this thing.
Well, because they're learning themselves. How better to teach somebody that, like, you're learning with them, but you're just like one step ahead maybe. So you're kind of like, look, learn with me, versus somebody like like a blast first, like, oh, I know everything, when you can tell that they know this much kind of thing.
Right. Well, I mean, I'll give an example. Like, kind of, okay. So I mentioned you are the ST guy teaching an NF class, right? And then you're putting NF. It's a demon state, so it feels fake. You feel like a fraud. You feel like it's not you because it is not you. You are not NF. You're ST. So, so you're that, like, all the feelings that you had is spot on, right? Like all this, you know, you're not. The fact that you can speak that language is good. It's like you know you learn another language, you know. So you're fluent in NF, which is good, even though it's not, even though you're not NF, you're still like, if like, for example, like, you know, like it's if as if I were fluent in Spanish, for example, you know, like clearly I'm not Spanish, and people knows I'm not Spanish, but if I can speak Spanish, then you still build that connection, right? You know,
Right.
yeah. Like I can speak survival Spanish, for example, right? And it's enough to build.
Survival Spanish, you won't die. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, like I traveled, I backpacked in Colombia for 38 days. No one tried to scam me because I spoke survival Spanish. Like I went up to people, right? I'm like, hola, ¿cómo estás? You know, I'll be like, you know, and then I'll tell them like where I want to go, right? I'll be like, yeah, you know, like, I don't know.
¿Dónde está la biblioteca?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Yeah. Or I bus terminales or something, you know, like I'll say,
Yeah.
I know enough to get by. Like I won't die, you know,
Cool.
like I'm like, you know, KS, you know, restaurante or something, you know, like I know how to, or baños, you know, like I'll survive. So you know enough. You can speak the NF language, even though you're not NF. You know, you're clearly not. You're clearly an ST guy. You know, you know. Um, so it's like me. Like I used to teach this class called Osteofit, which is like a class for old people, like an exercise for old people with like low bone density. And I was the weird guy that was teaching it because everyone teaching that class is old, and everyone teaching the class was a woman. So
And you were young and male.
yeah, young and male. So I was like completely like this, like when people see me in the class, sometimes I get like weird looks. Um, like some people are judgmental, right? They look at me, they're like, doesn't this guy know what he's talking about? He's young,
Right.
he's not old, so how can he understand how we feel? You know, because they have like, you know, issues with their bone density and stuff, right? They can get fractures and they're old, and you know, so I can feel that energy. I can feel that like negative energy, you know, coming out of them, right? I just push through it, right? I'm like, okay, I don't know how they feel because I'm not their age, but one thing I can have an advantage from, compared to other teachers who are their age, same gender, is that I can make it super fun. Because I bet you those classes are super boring. Those people, they're old. They probably teach their class so boring. Like, okay, everyone, let's slowly get up. Make sure you don't hurt yourself. You know, like my gut feeling told me they're fed up of hearing that shit. They're fed up of being told they're old.
Stop treating me like I'm old. I'm here to feel better. And actually, to use what you said to prove your concept correct, who better to teach it than someone who's going to motivate them? Because, well, shit, you're young. You know, I know. I said you can look at them. You're like, listen, I understand you're older, you're in pain, but I'm going to motivate you with what you don't have, the youth, so to speak.
Right. I make it humorous too, right? So I'll get there. I'm like, okay, kids, let's get started today. You know,
okay, kids.
Yeah, they can freaking love it, right? And then, you know, like I'm cracking jokes too, left and right. You know, I talk about my girlfriend too and stuff. And like when I start talking about my girlfriend, I'm in the dating phase. It kind of brings them back when they were younger and they're still dating and stuff. They're like, oh yeah, and like they're like, oh, that's so nice, you know, and like they're coming up to me, it's like, oh, I know where you can go on a road trip, you know, like so I build up the connection with like the seniors and stuff, and it's just so nice. And
that's actually very heartwarming to hear the way the dynamic played. Oh, cool.
Yeah, I know, it's so nice, like, you know, and I always tell them, yeah, you know, you go to another class, they think, oh, you just lift this little tiny 5-pound dumbbell. And I tell them, you're not weak, okay? You just need practice. That's what I tell them, right? So if you go to a typical seniors class, they only lift like tiny little, like a 2-pound dumbbell. Like, what does it even do? Like a 2-pound dumbbell, like this tiny.
Right.
How does it make you stronger?
It doesn't. It just keeps them moving, if anything. But
no, it's better than nothing. But I want progress. I don't like stagnation. You know, because I talk to a lot of old people teaching old people class, and then they're like, the goal here is to have a steady life, and then you die. But the death is not painful because you are declining on a slower pace.
Okay.
For me, I'm like, why do you want to decline? Let's move it up a little bit. Let's get stronger. You know, let's improve your life quality. Let's get you to do things that you used to be able to do when you're young that you can't do anymore, and do it again. That you can do it again. you know. And I'm always so proud that like, oh, a lot of my seniors, they start out with this tiny 2 pound dumbbell. By the time they leave my class, they're lifting 20 pounds, you know.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
and like, yeah, and then, you know, I see them, they stop coming to my class, which I'm completely cool with. I don't take offense with it. And I see them going to the gym lifting weights, and I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, you know, like
Yeah.
this is what I'm talking about, you know. And then they start telling me, oh yeah, I'm going on cruises now, I'm going hiking, I'm doing all this stuff. I'm like, fuck yeah, that is,
Nice.
you know, don't tell people, don't let people tell you you're old. Yeah, you are, but you don't have to feel old. You know, you can do things, you know. So that's why when I said you are the right guy for these NF idiots, no offense to other NF people, you know.
Right, right.
They're watching this.
That's a T I think to say. Say it proud.
If
Yeah,
that's what you want to say inside, I'll just say it, you know, like damn hippies, you know,
yeah.
you know, yeah, you sticking those ST stuff in your lessons, and suddenly like their life is improving because they heard that small nugget from you, right? Like that small
Right.
ST stuff, you know. Like for example, you say like, okay, everyone, just pay your bills on time.
Yeah, right. It's not that hard. Just don't buy that I don't know, car you keep talking about. Yours is perfectly fine. Use it for 3 more years, stuff. Yeah, I don't know, whatever. Yeah.
You wording it in a different way. Like you could say things like, you know, what is a material object anyways? Does it really bring you any happiness or any joy? Like you can manipulate them, right? Like, you know.
This is true. My truck is 19 years old. It has 3 different colors to it, but it runs very good. And I make sure that the engine is ST good. The rest of it, I don't care what it looks like. And I haven't made a car payment in like 7 years,
How much money did you save by not making a car payment in like so many years?
right? And then I get to spend it on things that I do like my guitars. I get to take my daughter out and do things with her, things that to me matter.
Right.
Would I like a new truck? Yeah, absolutely. Do I need one? No, then forget it. I don't, that's not a priority.
Well, I feel like you can always just rent one because if you really want to drive it, just rent it, right? Because if you you know, usually when you buy something, it's shiny for like the first month, and afterwards it just goes
Correct.
application. Uh,
Correct.
it loses its luster, you know. Especially
Hmm.
with you with SE people, like you guys get bored of things really easily, right? Like you have
Hmm.
something shiny, and then you want the next shiny thing.
As a matter of fact, I don't like shiny. I've learned to stay away from pretty shiny things.
Oh, let's talk about that then. So let's talk about SE. So you know, people would lead SE. Your lead consume too. So
Yeah.
you would assume that you would be obsessed with gathering the next shiny thing. You know, um, so I've noticed a lot of people who have SE, they love getting the new shiny thing. But you said that you can control yourself to not get the next shiny thing, even though you probably want it. So how do you stop yourself?
I've learned to focus on the. I've made impulse purchases in my life enough times where I've learned that the momentary pleasure is not worth the disappointment that you get later on when it loses its luster. Now you
Right.
have this other thing you got to kind of SI keep track of, and it's like it just becomes like a thorn in my side. So I've really learned to focus on that feeling, the negative, and that things that are scratch and dent, things that are old, things that still have good purpose. It's the feeling. Is that SF? I don't know, but like I get the value from the thing instead of looking for the thing to give me happiness. It's. So the more miles my truck gets, the happier I am because I'm like, look how long I've kept it running. Uh, I have guitars that poor things have been put through the ringer and they're all beat up. But guitar is a practice, music is a practice that I keep gaining and learning from. So almost the older it looks, the more testament to how long I've been practicing it shows. If I get something new and shiny, Kendrick, it's horrible. I'm like, no, 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 don't touch it. No, 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 you're gonna scratch it. No, 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 and it loses all value, purpose, and anything I can take from it. Just trying to maintain its how pristine it is.
Right.
So the older and the more beat up it is, the more authentic and the more I can interface with whatever it is. And I've focused on that so hard that I look for things that are scratch and dent used. I'm saving money. I'm extracting the maximum value and use of whatever this thing is. And I'm surrounded by old and used stuff. And it works for me.
Wait to stereotype yourself as the ISTP mechanic. You know. That's what a joke, right? All ISTPs.
Yeah.
But I completely relate to what you said about like, yeah, because when you have something new, you get paranoid, right? It's gonna get damaged and stuff. So it's almost like you can't have fun with it. 'Cause,
Right, right.
yeah, yes, I totally get that. Um, cool, man. That's a really good thought. I think like for a lot of people to consider because I think a lot of people are over consumer behavior.
Mhm.
When do you know when to make the right purchase for a new thing that will actually be a good use for you, long for a long period of time? When do you know it's like this is the right purchase for sure? Like I know it's expensive, but I know this is a good investment.
I think you're asking me about my TI here. So
Yeah.
I have to be very accurate and concise. All right. So um I've learned through trial and error. I own 8 guitars, right? There's different kinds, there's bass, baritone, and a lot of different, they all have their own style and whatever, but I own 8 guitars. This doesn't escape me. Like I'm one of those people and I play all of them. I know that buying a new guitar is okay if it's going to help me expand my creativity and expand on my knowledge of the instrument. I do not buy guitars because they're pretty, because I like the color. I don't SF them. They have to have some sort of developmental potential to them. So I will purchase another guitar only when I know that I'm trying to do something that this one can't do. And no guitar that I have purchased to date has not done that for me. Every time I buy something new, I play something that I couldn't before on the old one. I've bought cars because I want that new shiny car. That's the one I've always wanted, always. And then I buy it, and 6 months later, I'm like, why did I waste all this money? So I've learned through banging my head really hard with expensive purchases what is worth pursuing and what is worth not engaging in. And I'm sure this spills into other things that I have around my house or in my life, but those are the two most prominent examples that I can give you.
Since you brought in the topic of TI, do you also have like I don't know, you could say your TI truths or uh, you know, something that you live by, like a mantra or something? Do you have any of that with your TI?
I absolutely do. I don't have anything that I could put on a plaque on a wall and say this is my truth, but I what I these are things that I feel. I have a lot of feelings that I can't put into words, and if I try to stereotypically to an ISTP, the process of translating these concepts into words is stressful, and it generally doesn't come out the way I understand it here. But I'm practicing doing that more and more in my life to be a more balanced person. So to answer your question, I structure my life in a way that I wouldn't be ashamed if I should disappear, die, or anything, that no one would look back and say as little negative as possible about me. You can't control what everyone thinks. To somebody in somebody's story, you're a monster, and in somebody's story, you're a savior. And what they feel is what they feel. But I try to live a life that when I look at myself in the mirror every morning, I'm not ashamed. And that includes the way I raise my daughter. We all make mistakes, you know. The friends that I keep, the place that I try to hold myself, the standard that I try to hold myself to, and what am I trying to get out of all of these things, tying them together? What is the concept of me? Um, Contrary to TI's leads, I'm not, I am proud of all the things that I own, but I don't talk about them unless you ask me about them. I had something. It's just a structure. It's an internal structure that I try, a standard that I hold myself to, masculine TI, and that if I've ever broken it, I've never forgotten the sting. So it keeps me from doing that, even if helping somebody else means betraying my beliefs, I won't do it. I will sacrifice the FE and have somebody hate me if it means not going against my beliefs. Like, oh, just leave your daughter with whoever and we'll go have a crazy lustful weekend somewhere. Like, hey, who doesn't like sex? But my daughter comes first, and I will never leave her with people that I don't like just so I can go and indulge. I will, it'll haunt me forever. So I'm very strict with myself, and I don't know if I answered your question. I'm sorry.
No, no, it's okay. No, it was really no, you definitely hone it in. Like when you said that, when you look at yourself in the mirror, you always make sure that you do things that you don't feel ashamed of yourself. Like, so I think you were pretty clear with that. And then the other stuff was kind of just examples that you provided, which is good. Your consume is double masculine. So like, are you like, how aggressive are you with consuming? Like, it's so aggressive. It's double masculine.
Um,
And are you also like when let's say you have an argument with someone and it's a factual argument, and like, are you very aggressive to bring your sources to that you've consumed them from?
um, well, I don't argue. I don't. Like I said, I usually just distance myself from anybody who brings friction in my life. The few times I have had full blown arguments is when people try to challenge my logic through means of emotions. When they try to challenge my TI through with usage of NF, if I didn't have a bigger red button that you just smash, um, and it causes me to unleash everything I believe in the worst. I've never said anything I'm not proud of, but in the most harsh of delivery methods, that's it. And that is the perfect explanation as to why my daughter's mother and I are not together anymore. I think she's an ESFJ, and she always used to come at me with emotional things, and it would break my logic. I'm like, this has to be this way because of this and this. And man, those fights were ugly. They were ugly. They had to happen for the both of us, I think, for me to learn about me and things. But I don't argue. I don't. It causes me too much discomfort because I would have to hurt somebody to make my point, and at that point, it's not worth making it.
It's interesting that you said that your ex is an ESFJ, which makes sense because you're an IP, right? So you guys usually end up together.
Mhm.
I think David Chan also talks about, like, in relationships, you and your partner both have to be willing to work on your demons. Otherwise, it's not going to work out.
Was that the recent Q&A?
Yeah, I think so. They talked
Bad
about,
dating advice?
yeah, something like that.
I'm Papa Romeo. That was my question.
That was your question. Oh,
Yeah.
dude, that's
Yeah.
so funny. That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
You're the one that asked about this. Okay, cool, cool. That's so cool, man. But yeah, man, there you go. So I guess they answered your question. I do believe in that. That's why I think me and my girlfriend has been together for 8 years, and we're still going strong. Is because we do work.
Good.
No, we do work on our demons, right? Like, I use my SF sleep last. I talk about my feelings, even though I'm like uncomfortable with it. I talk about, you know, and then she talks. I force her to speak up. She's last. So it's like, we're working on it, and I think that's we always like we feel proud that that's our foundation in a relationship is open communication, no matter what. So after you finish the honeymoon period, then we're still good. My girl.
As an IP, that's very heartwarming to hear. And see, I'm not faking emotions here. That really is very heartwarming to hear people actually trying to help each other grow together. That's
It's not easy. It's so hard. It's like probably the hardest thing I've ever done. Just being 100% transparent and honest. But like, it's the foundation. It's what we that got us to where we are right now. She's my best friend, and um, so this would have not happened without those hard talks.
right.
Um, I think even right now we're fighting a lot. Like when we do fight, it's sensory related because we're both sensory stupid.
Uh-huh.
Like all the feeling fights have kind of dissipated. Now our fights are like sensory related, which is so stupid. Like like the house is messy, or the apartment is messy. I mean, and just sensory stuff. Money. So
Mm.
that's like the next step we're working on right now is the sensory, because we're both like, okay, like we need to make this work. We need to figure this out. We need to. We have to figure out the sensory stuff. She has to figure out her SC. I need to figure out my SI. I'm like, so we're doing it collaboratively together, which is super nice. It's like teamwork. So
Uh-huh.
um so I think that's what, again, the basis of the relationship is, open, honest communication, no matter how painful it is. So yeah, so I think that's good that you asked that question to them because I think that confirmed it for me because clearly it is definitely you have to work on your demons.
I'm always attracting EJs, and it's this beautiful. At first, it's just, I mean, and not even romantically, just people in general, and it's just like it's beautiful because we help each other so much. But in the end, there's so much. I don't know. I can't give you an analogy right now, but it's like there's so much missing in between that the attraction doesn't have what it needs to sustain the friendship, relationship most of the time, and the things that brought you together, the things that end up repelling you, or people in general. So that's why I asked them, how do we harness the potential that we have as people together to make each other stronger? And that was the basis of that question.
I'm just trying to think about like deciders that I know who are married or are dating and like what worked and what didn't work. Like I have a friend who's an ESFJ and I think his wife is an IJ. And I think the reason why they're working out is because one is a double observer and one's a double decider. So they fix each other's problems. But the wife and me, when I spoke to her, we actually became friends really quickly because I'm an EP, she's an IJ, so it's like natural. We naturally click. I think I don't know if she's an INFJ or INTJ, but I did notice that she was super self aware because she was making fun of herself a lot, and she was like
Okay.
making fun of other people. So she was so balanced in the middle. But then she was weird about things. Like she refused to buy a microwave because she said she thinks it's gonna poison your food, and
Uh-huh.
she only cooks food in the stove. It's really weird, like in the oven. It's like so but then we had the same conversation about her husband, who's my friend. I think he's an ESFJ, always blasting about how I should behave, right? SF blast, so annoying. But like, yeah, he's like he doesn't know himself. He doesn't do anything for himself. He's always doing things for other people. How can he? How can I can make him understand that like he needs to stop doing this? He doesn't work on his he doesn't want to work on his TI. He doesn't want to work on his TI, uh,
Right.
and it's like a huge problem. And like my friend who looks like you, he ended up marrying another IP. They're both IPs, right? So
Ooh,
they're
what's
both
that like?
it works. I don't know what to
It
say.
does? Okay, good.
No, because they have a common goal. They're both status seeking, so they want to be the best. And then
Oh,
the wife is always going up to him, right? And showing him pictures of like people and saying, like showing other pictures of like girls or guys on Instagram. It's like, see these people, they're worthless. They got to the top by just, their looks or being incompetent. We're gonna make it to the top because we're smart and because or we're hardworking,
we're better than them. Yeah.
we're better than them, right? And she puts the pressure on herself, right? No matter what, it's like I am doing this for me. I'm gonna be the top.
IP?
I'm the best, yeah. And my friend too is like, yeah, I'm the best too. Like I'm gonna make it to the top. So they're like bring each other up. So it works. I don't know how it's gonna do long term. They've only been together for 3 years. They've only been married for one.
Okay.
So I don't know what the long term repercussion of that. I think my friend has pretty good FE, so he kind of just goes along with what his wife says. So
Hmm.
maybe
Smart man.
was that?
Smart man.
Yeah. So I maybe that's he's more playing the EJ role, maybe like because
Mhm.
someone has to play the EJ role, right? And from whenever I met the wife, she's definitely the pure IP type. Like it's always about her, like And so for me, I'm like, okay, my friend I guess is forced to play the EJ role, which is good because he's working on this FE, right? Um, so I don't know, like, because it's gonna be hard for you, man. Because like most EJs, they don't want to work with a TI, right? So I don't know how you're gonna do it, especially those are what you attract, right? So um,
It's when I'm alone in my home that there's nobody with me that I have to face my TI, and I find it very difficult to physically be not around people, because when I'm with them, I can take care of them. Everything's great. I don't have to pay attention to myself. And then vice versa. When I'm alone, I have to figure these things out, and that's when I tend to go do all my exercises. It helps me process myself as a secondary thing because I don't want to die doing all the strenuous exercise. So it's very good and difficult at times being the glass lizard. Like the harder I work on myself, it's like, comparatively speaking to your friends, it's not like the more I work on myself, the better status I'll have. I don't want status. I don't want recognition. That makes me feel uncomfortable. The harder I work on myself, the more I can be there for the people around me. And that got me into a world of pain and discomfort with certain relationships that I've had. And I've had to learn to say, no, no, these are my boundaries, as uncomfortable as it is, and stick to those a little bit more as a result.
Yeah, I feel like it's gonna be harder for you because then you have to date someone that's also a glass lizard. I think for like a glass lizard EJ, that they can see their double activate TI. Otherwise, it's gonna be weird for you because it's not gonna be balanced, right? Like your single activate TI, double activate FE, right? So whoever you date has to be double activated TI and single activated FE, and they should be like a controlling EJ too, right? Like the blast first ones, like because you're consuming,
It,
right?
I tell people because I'm very good in my job. There's a lot of ego-driven humans, like megalomaniac level people, and I love those people. And I tell them the more people complain, the more you bitch and complain, the easier it is to take care of them. They're spelling out everything that they want right in front of you. You don't have to guess. You don't have to wonder. It's just like, I want this now. There you go. Whatever. I don't care.
So you
You
like
feel good?
do you like blasters then? Because you
I like blasters so long as they don't come at me and telling me that I'm doing stuff wrong.
I see. Okay. Well, so what is it about you doing something wrong that would trigger you?
Um, so a blaster, if we're just using textbook definitions, a blaster does things with a little bit of information, and it's like they always knew it, and they don't cite the sources. Like, oh, I learned this today. And they don't say, well, I learned it from such and such person. Like, oh, I'm the authority. If I can tell, like we were talking before, if I can tell that they're bullshitting the ST and telling me how I'm wrong, that's a trigger for me. And at that point, I just kind of distance myself from those people if I can. Um, I forgot your question.
That's okay. Uh, I'm just thinking about your animal stack. You have a weird animal stack, right? Consume, play, blast, sleep. So the person that you're dating almost has to be like sleep first, like sleep, blast, play, consume.
Oh, okay. So I'm dating somebody now, and if she sees this video and she made it to this point, oh my God, she might not be happy that I'm talking about her. But I believe she's a sleep blast IJ.
Like a Dave. You're dating Dave.
But she's very quiet. She's very quiet. But man, if you whatever she believes in, don't challenge her. She's like steroid masculine on whatever I'm not so good at typing, but I know she's an IJ because everything's about the box and what the box and the box.
Right.
And part of what she likes about me is the fact that I go with I'm very SE. I'm like, oh, this I can give her possibilities to where she's boxed in.
Right.
And I'm very movable emotionally, and she's not. So I make her feel comfortable exploring her belief system. I don't judge her. I'm not a judgmental person. FE, I want you to feel good. But she doesn't push her beliefs on me. So I'm okay being me around her. And we're tiptoeing towards each other slowly because we both have masculine introverted deciders, but we don't call each other out on any of the stuff. I offer my help. If she says no, have it your way, I'm okay. I keep doing my thing, you keep doing your thing. And when she sees me struggling with decider stuff, she's like, that's not a big deal. Here, it's done. I'm like, and I'm very grateful for it. If this is going to work out long term, God, I hope it does. I really like her. And so far, I can only, and I see the potential that we have as a result of all the little things that I've ST'd so far into it. And the more I always try to talk to her about MBTI and ops, and she just looks at me and she's like, the fact that you could pigeonhole anybody into a type is absurd. And she completely rails against it. And I'm like, you're falling right into some of the stereotypes of the thing. And she just looks, she's like, and she doesn't want to hear it. But every once in a while, she's like, what is that thing that you said the other day about introverted? What was it? And she's allowing herself to take it in little by little. Hence why I think she has to be a blaster, because she doesn't like to listen to these things in length.
Yeah.
And or a sleep blast, because she doesn't tell you what to do first, and she has a hard time consuming.
Sleep blast douchebags. That's what that.
Yeah. Yeah.
He calls himself the
Right.
sleep last douchebag, right?
I love it that they make fun of themselves. It makes it so much easier to get made fun of by them. You
Well,
know?
he makes fun of all the types, right? Like,
Yeah.
you're what are you? You're a skib or something? What is a
I'm a
skib?
I'm a yibby skibby,
Yeah,
channel changing.
yeah,
You know.
like easily distracted. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a crackhead, play blast crackhead, and then
Nice.
yeah,
Nice
yeah.
to meet you.
What's that?
I
Yeah,
said that's nice. Nice to meet you. Yeah.
yeah, I'm the crackhead, and then there's the mope.
This Moposaurus. Yeah, the Moposaurus.
Yeah, that's my girlfriend. She's a sleep consumer.
Nice.
Yeah. All right, cool, dude. I have one last question for you. We'll wrap the interview. It's been
Okay.
fun. So, the last one is what advice can you give to fellow ISTPs and the ones who don't want to work on that FE in the bottom? Like I've interviewed tons of people, both growth mindset and fixed mindset, and people who want to work on that FE, and there's people who don't want to work on that FE. So, what advice can you give to those people who do want to work on that FE? Um they want to change in their life. They don't want to always get tribe hate, always be paranoid of the tribe. They want the tribe to be their friend. They want to be part of the tribe. I think one of the biggest compliments you can probably get, if I'm just guessing, is that if someone tells you you're a really caring person, you know, I think that,
That would mean a lot to me if they, yeah.
yeah. So, so for them to come across as really caring, like what can they do? Like what should they do? How can they practice it?
Let's see. How can I would say that the monster that is the tribe, the shadow of the monster that is the tribe is much larger than the monster itself. Um, in trying not to be rejected, you find yourself isolated and thus are the arbiter of your own fears. It's kind of like a tidal wave. There is liberation in servitude. You just have to find the right people to serve. And once you're accepted, if if you can accept being accepted, you will find yourself home wherever you go, or find a home wherever you go.
I love it, dude. It's very poetic. Very NF. I love it. It's like that Shakespeare. It's good stuff. It's
Thank
also
you.
useful. I think that's a well put. I just hope that they accept the NF. A lot of the ICPs don't respect NF too, which is the other problem. Um, but yeah, good stuff, man. Thanks for reaching out to do the interview. It's been fun. Definitely had a lot of fun talking to you today.
It was an honor, Kendrick. It really was. I don't take this for granted. Thank you very much.
Yeah, for sure, dude. So yeah, take care. Have a nice day, and yeah, see you around in the group.
Absolutely.
Later, dude.
Bye.